There is a fine line between fascination and obsession, a dark abyss where the human mind drifts, searching for something more. For some, true crime is a harmless intrigue, a way to understand the depths of evil without stepping too close. For others, it is a doorway, a slow descent into something far more sinister. Jung Yoo-jung was not a woman scorned. She did not kill out of passion, jealousy, or revenge. She killed for one reason only: curiosity. The desire to know what it felt like to take a human life, to cross that final, irreversible line between thought and action. It was a crime so cold, so methodically planned, that even seasoned investigators struggled to comprehend the sheer emptiness in her motive. A crime that sent shockwaves through South Korea, leaving a nation horrified not by the act itself, but by the reason behind it. A woman, quiet and unassuming, spending years consuming the darkest corners of true crime media. Her thoughts festering, twisting, growing more insatiable until one day, she decided to step into the story herself. This is the terrifying case of Jung Yoo-jung. Jung Yoo-jung had always been an outsider, withdrawn, isolated, living in a world largely disconnected from the people around her. There was no history of violence, no tragic past, no obvious trigger. But what she did have was an obsession. Hours upon hours spent devouring crime documentaries, studying murder cases, dissecting the minds of killers as if they were puzzles to be solved. It was no longer entertainment. It was a hunger, a craving that no book, no documentary, no forensic analysis could satisfy. She didn't just want to learn about crime. She wanted to feel it, to understand it in a way no observer ever could. Her descent wasn't immediate. It was slow, deliberate, the way an ember smolders before igniting into an unstoppable fire. She began searching online, watching, studying, thinking. But thoughts weren't enough anymore. She needed a victim, a person who wouldn't fight back, someone trusting, unaware of the storm that was about to consume them. That's when the plan took shape. A tutor, a private one-on-one meeting with a stranger, someone who wouldn't see it coming. She created a fake persona, a young student desperate to learn. She found her target, a tutor who welcomed students into her home, unaware that she had just invited a predator into her safe space. The meeting was set, the plan in motion. Jung Yoo-jung was about to satisfy her curiosity. The day of the murder was unremarkable. The sky the same shade of pale blue it had always been. The streets humming with the usual rhythm of life. And yet, for one person, this would be the last morning they would ever see. She arrived at the tutor's home carrying nothing but a bag filled with unspeakable intent. She knocked. The door opened. A warm greeting. An exchange of pleasantries. Then the door closed. The world outside continued without a pause, unaware of the horror unfolding within those walls. The moment the tutor turned her back, the illusion shattered. A sudden movement. A flash of metal. The first blow landed with brutal force. The victim staggered, confusion turning to pain, to panic. A cry for help that would never reach another soul. The attack was relentless, calculated, blow after blow, each more vicious than the last. Blood splattered, pooling, staining everything in its path. The struggle was brief, the fight futile. And then, silence. For the first time, Jung Yoo-jung stood in the aftermath of her own making, a lifeless body at her feet, the stillness of death settling into the air around her. This was the moment she had dreamed of, the climax of years spent lost in the stories of killers. But it wasn't enough. Her curiosity wasn't satisfied. She needed more. She needed to see what lay beneath the surface. She retrieved the tools she had brought, hands steady, expression emotionless. She began to dismember the body. piece by piece, separating flesh from bone, carving through what was once a living, breathing person. There was no hesitation, no horror, no regret, only precision. She packed the remains into plastic bags, wiping away evidence, erasing the scene, the same way she had seen it done in the countless crime stories she had consumed. But fiction can only teach so much. Real crime is messy, imperfect, and she had made mistakes. The plan had been perfect in theory, but reality had its own way of unraveling even the most meticulous of crimes. Security cameras caught glimpses of her movements, the way she disposed of the body parts, the way she carried herself. It wasn't long before authorities connected the dots. Her alibi crumbled under scrutiny, the inconsistencies piling up until they could no longer be ignored. And then, faced with the weight of her own actions, she confessed. Not with remorse, not with fear, but with the chilling simplicity of a person explaining the outcome of a scientific experiment. I was just curious. That was her reason. Not anger, not self-defense, curiosity. It was a revelation that sent shivers through the investigators. A motive so detached from emotion, so devoid of humanity, that it was almost incomprehensible. Jung Yoo-jung had stepped into the world of true crime, not as a spectator, but as a participant. And she had done it, because she wanted to know what it felt like. The trial was swift, the evidence undeniable, the confession damning. She was sentenced to life in prison, a fate colder than the crime itself. But even behind bars, one question remains. Was she born a killer, or was she made? Did years of consuming true crime distort her reality? Did the stories of murderers desensitize her to the horror of real violence? Or was this darkness always inside her, waiting for an excuse to surface? We may never know the full truth, but one thing is certain. For Jung Yoo-jung, curiosity wasn't just dangerous, it was deadly. True crime fascinates us. We seek to understand the minds of those who commit unspeakable acts. We study their patterns, their motives, their psychology. But at what point does fascination become something more? At what point does the line blur between observer and participant? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you believe true crime obsession can push someone over the edge? Or was Jung Yoo-jung simply a killer, waiting for the right moment to strike? If you found this case as disturbing as I did, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more in-depth true crime stories. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay safe.